So as you have seen, I told you that we will start with a CSV file. Remember, so suppose that the CSV file present in my system is something like this. Something like this. So we have a CSV file, Oscar age male, the name is, which represents the list of names of who are basically Oscar winner in different year and their age. That is the that is the data set. Okay, and what we want to do, we want to import the data and do some analysis on that. For example, so how to do this? First of all, the way of reading the data from a CSV file to a data frame, there is a function read underscore CSV in the pandas series, pandas package. So that's why I have written pd.read underscore CSV, and within bracket you have to pass the file name with extension along with its corresponding uh, the path. For example, in my directory, we have the file where the pandas, the IPNB file, I mean, the file where I'm writing the program is present. In that same directory, we have another directory called data, and within that directory, the file is present. That's why I have given here data slash then the file name Oscar underscore h and underscore mail dot csv. And if you run this particular command, then what will happen? The pandas package will read the data from CSV file and store the data into a data frame named as Oscars. So the data frame name is Oscars now. Now what this Oscars.head mean? It means that it will print only first 5 rows of the data frame. So if I just run this particular cell, what you will see, you see that the year, age, name and movie, these four parameters is there. For example, if you look into the original data file, you will see at the top there is given the column names as year, age, name and movie. In the same way, that's why here also the column name for the data frame is coming as year, age, name and movie, and there is no such presence of specific index values. So that's why index started from 0 and up to 4. But don't think that there is only 5 data present in this CSV file. Since you have given dot head function after this data frame, that's why it is representing only first 5 columns. If you omit this particular line, then what will happen? And if you run again, you will see that you see total there is 89 rows. So that they mean total 89 in the samples are there, and the index starts from 0 to 88. And here you can see some dot 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 dot, because it's nothing but the tool cannot show you the all the data set presently. It can show you some first few data and dot 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 dot, then next few data, something like that. But sometimes we don't require all the data to visit. So that's why, just to check whether the data is properly came or not, what we do, we just keep dot head function to check the first 5 samples. But instead of checking first 5 sample, if you want to check last 5 sample, something like 84 to 89, 88, these last 5 sample, you can write tail as well. If you write this and if you run this, what will happen? You see, now the last 5 sample is coming, where the index starts from 84 to 88. Okay, so anyway, so head and tail is not going to is not going to change the distribution of the data in the data set. It's just a representation. Anyway, in the same way, now there is another way by which you can see the list of columns that is available in the data frame. That is how we can do that. We can write we can write data frame name dot columns over here as it is written, like Oscars dot columns, because Oscars is the data frame name. So if you run this particular cell, you will see it is coming as year, age, name, and movie. These are the column names that you can see from this above cell already. But one thing you see that somehow maybe because of some manual mistake, there was a space between, there was a space before this a in the age column. That's why it has came with space as well, even for name as well, even for movie also. Okay, but it's not required, right? Because I require only the names. I don't require exact the any other unnecessary space. So in that case, what we can do, we can apply a keyword skip initial space. This particular keyword will be considered as true, and if you do this and then if you try to print the columns, then you see what will happen. You will see the column names, definitely the same column names, but if you compare the column names that you have got here, is nothing but here there is no such unnecessary space present in the column names. Why it is important? Because sometimes you may work with some column names in future when you will start filtering on the data, filtering with respect to age, filtering the data with respect to some year. For example, you are interested for those particular data in the data set who has got the Oscar after 2015. So you don't require these 2012, 13, 14, all these data set. So that means what I can say? I can say that we are basically filtering the data from this data set based on the year. So in that case, naturally, you will see in the latter part of the video that we have to use this column name for this filtration. In that case, if you don't have the proper column name, then you may get an error. That's why this particular skip initial might be important in that case. Now let's come to the filtering part that I just told you. So filtering means, for example, over here in this data set, I cannot show you all the data which is present in this full data set over here. So here is the full data set present. But anyhow, if I want to, for example, get that what is the maximum age whose of the whole data set, how we can apply that? There is a function max which is applicable on the column name of a data frame. We can do that like data frame name dot column name dot max, something like this. And if you just run this one, what you will see, you will see that it's given 76. That means maybe in the data set there is a there is a sample who has got some Oscar in some year whose age was 76, who is the maximum one. Not only in max, actually you can get mean as well. For example, some guy from 29 years old age only, he has got some Oscar in some year, maybe in the data set. Not only these, I think you can go for checking what is the mean of the age. What it is representing? It is representing based on all the data set in the sample, but based on all the samples in the data set. Everybody has some age, and what is the mean age of the persons present in the data set? Okay, so that is representing. So you can apply any mathematical some function over here, something like mean, max, or any mean, I mean average. Okay, so it will show you the average. And sometimes it may require, for example, you want to know that what exactly the value, what are the, how many peoples are there, okay, how many peoples are there, how many column rows are present, which is greater than the average age of the whole data set. How to do that? To understand this, let's come to the next point over here. What is written here? It is written Oscar within a square bracket, Oscar dot age equal 76. What does it mean? So let's see what does Oscar dot age equal 76 means given. So let's delete all this first, and I'm just keeping this one. First of all, this equal mean it is going to give you a conditional operator that it is going to check whether the Oscar dot age is 76 or not. But definitely for all the people the age is not 76. For some people maybe age is 76. For some people age is not 76. In that case, if you run this code, what you will get, you see, you are getting false. The only reason is that it, as soon as you will execute this command, the pandas data frame will actually check the age of each and every sample with 76, and it will consider true only that case where age is 76 and false for other cases. Might be only there is only one case which is 76, that's why you are getting all the falses. It will be better, you can understand, if I say age is greater than 50, say for example greater than 50, something like that. And if I run this particular code again, you see you are getting some false and some true, something like that. Okay, now, so what basically this particular criteria is producing, it actually produces a series of true and falses. Okay, now what you want? You want to extract those data whose age is greater than 50, right? So what you can do? This particular series. So let's, for example, I have given here that s equal to this. Okay, so given age equal to this. Okay. After that, what I can do? I can simply write Oscar. Okay, Oscars. Name is Oscars. Yes, Oscars of this age. What will happen basically in that case? Basically, in this square bracket, we are passing some series of true and false, right? And what will be the outcome of this particular comment? Only those particular row whose output is true will be filtered, and false will be removed from the will be actually ignored, you can say, not removed, will be ignored. So if I just run this, what will happen? You see you are getting a list of numbers over here whose all in all cases you see the age is greater than 50, or maybe if I put it greater than 60, it will be much more easier to understand. So let's keep it greater than 60. So there are four people only who got Oscar after age 60. So in this way you can filter out. How we have done that? Using this age column name. This is just what I told you. That's why proper column name is very important. Now you don't need to write two lines in this way. What you can put? You can directly put this particular line over here instead of writing two lines, and you don't require this particular line. Okay, remember, this will also give the same representation, but one more thing, always it is not mandatory that you have to write data frame name dot column name. You can write this column name in a square bracket also. In that case, this dot is not required. So this is also correct. So Oscars dot age greater than 60. If you see, you are getting, oh sorry, this should be in double quote, I mean single quote, because age is not a variable, right? Age is a specific name of the column, and you see you are getting the same thing. Now there can be can be a situation that you want to filter out based on two criteria, right? For example, you want that age could be greater than 50 and the year should be greater than, for example, 2000. Means I want to filter out the samples based on age greater than 50 and year greater than 2000. So after 2000. So in that case, I have to put a AND operation here, and I have to put another criteria just like what we put in if else case in case of any language. So same thing I put, but here the instead of age it will be year. Remember, this particular column name has to be exactly same as the column name presented in the data frame. Okay, and maybe it is 2000. So let's see if it works or not. You see, oh sorry, I must have only one. Sorry. Uh, okay, so in that case, it will be. Oh, I think. Uh, okay, so this is going to create uh, series. So okay, so may that mean this type of, okay, I'll see this particular, there is another way maybe by which we can we can apply multiple criteria. So for example over here, um, like yes, now it can. I had a mistake, that is have not given this bracket. Anyway, so if you want to have more than one criteria, you should keep in this bracket first criteria, bracket second criteria. So you see, I have only two cases in my data set where the people has got Oscar after 2000 having age more than 50. Okay. So in this way you can filter out. Okay. Okay. So now we are going to get some another very important point. So for example, let's take a different CSV file which is given as covid data.csv, which is given over here, covid data.csv, where you can see it's a very huge file where total more than maybe total almost 39,271 samples are there. But as you can see, there are some cells which is blank over here. So what will happen, what I can do with this different blank entries, that we are coming very soon. Anyway, so let's read this particular data frame first. So we have read this data frame, there is nothing. What you can do, you can check whether it has read properly or not. You can just check by this head function. So you see it's coming, right? It's coming, and there is lot of columns present here. That's why it's not possible to show the all the columns. That's why also it is given as a dot 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 over here. That means there are a lot of columns in between all these columns. And you see those places where the entry was blank in case of in case of uh, say for example in the data set that has came as none. What does none means? Not a number, I mean no value present. Okay, so it's nothing like a null. Okay, anyway, so we have some data and there are total 40 columns and 39,000 total row, among which only first 5 row we can see here. Anyway, so now what we can do, we can see the different information regarding this data frame by this particular one. You see, once I run this particular code, what information that you can see is that it's representing the information about the columns. For example, what is the column data type and whether it is null or non null. So we have, you see, 40 columns as you can see over here. That's why he in the once you will run this covid.info, that means dataframe name.info, it will show you all the column names, you see, from 0 number column to 39 number column, that means total 40 columns. And in the right hand side you can see here, you see it's given object or float 64. What does object means? Actually object means actually it is string object, because you see the ISO code, continent, location and date, these are actually string object and date object, I mean date time object presented in Python. But for the other cases, the data are basically float value, right, as you can see presented here. So that's why the data type of the columns is given at float 64, that means 64-bit float value. So in this way you can first check about the all the columns, the data types and all, by this covid the data frame dot info function. Now you already know this head function and how we can see this. Now suppose in this particular data frame you want a particular column name as an index. In that case what you can do, you can simply use this particular index call parameter, whose value you can give as one of the indexes and one of the column names. For example, location is a column name in my data frame here, right? If you put location in this index and you run this code, you see what you are getting. Now you see the location has become a index value, and all this location's value has come as indexes over here. So location will be now no more present in the data frame column. Okay, so that's why you see it is giving now 39 columns, because location is no more present as a column in my present data set. Okay, so it totally depends upon user's choice. The programmer who will write program will do some analysis. If the programmer decide or realize that it require some column name as the index, in that case he or she can do that. So it is just a optional and obviously given a facility to the user, but it is not mandatory. Anyway, so let's come to the next point, that is what does it mean? This means that it is representing the continent column of the COVID data frame. So what basically it will show? It will show all the values of the continent column. Okay, and this basically represents as a, you can say, as a series. Okay, series data structure. So anyway, series data structure is not really very much used always, but when if you remember that if you use this column name with the data frame name, whatever will be will come, that will be as a series. In the same way, you can also do by list. Just I showed you in my previous cases, right? Like instead of giving dot column name, you can also give in a square bracket the column name. In that case, dot is no more required. So this part already you know. So I'm not going in this side. Anyway, so now let's come to this point. What does it mean? You see what is given. There is a specific keyword came here, loc, loc, right? This loc actually represents just it's actually different way of representing. This is the also same thing, covid.loc within square bracket the France, it means that it will show only data from France. You see, only data from France, because only reason is that location came as a here, because I can do this. The reason is that presently the COVID is imported as a data frame where uh, location is my indexes. And in location, if you see the data set, actual data set, you will see that in the location there will be different location present from different countries is there: Argentina, Belgium, Bahrain, India, and Brazil, including France, and all lot of countries is there. So among them, it is actually giving the data only from France. So what this LOC does, LOC takes input as a, by the index. Okay, by the index, and dot head is given just to show the first five data. If you omit this head part, you will basically see all the data present in as a France. So there are 238 rows. I mean, there are 238 samples which is from France in this data set. Anyway, so we are not interested for all the rows for time being. So just remain as it is. Now you can try for more than one country as well. Say France and Germany. In that case, we can go for something like this. But remember one thing, that when you will choose more than one column to select, I mean more than one rows to select, I mean more than one indexes. In that case, you see, you have given it in a list. If you don't put in a list, you will get an error. Okay. So what it is representing? It is representing, basically it will extract all the data where the location is from Germany and France. So if you just print this, you will see it will come from Germany and France. So there are 476 rows which are from Germany and France. Okay, Germany and France. But there can be a situation that you don't know how many countries are there in the data set, but in between Germany and France there are many other countries present in the data set, and you want to extract all. All means all data which are from Germany till France. Okay, so in that case we can use this colon. You have already visited this colon, use of colon in my previous lecture, right? So what does it mean? It means from Germany to France. Remember here, since we are considering the indexes in data frame, it does not mean colon next means, I mean, I told you in my previous video that 0 colon n, it means 0 to n minus 1. But here this cannot be applied, because here the whatever present before and after colon is basically the index names. So we can put that mean it will basically, I mean, it will return a part of the data frame starting from Germany till France and all the other countries in between them. That's why you see there are lot of countries coming, and that's why the row number has been increased here. Total 3485 rows present in the data set starting from Germany till France, including some other countries in between them. Okay. Now let's come to the next point. There is one more thing just like loc, that is iloc. Okay. So for example, what does it mean? You see, in case of when I'm writing iloc, then I'm not specifying any particular index values. I'm representing with respect to 500, 1000 or something like that. So if this execute, it means that from 500 number index to 1000 number index, all the row will be filtered out. So you will see the total number of row is naturally coming 500 rows, because 500 to 1000 means total 500 rows, right? So what is the difference between LOC and iloc? The only difference is that LOC take the indexes, and sorry, the levels and ILOC tech indexes. It will be much more clear if I go for the next example to understand what exactly difference over here. So for example, let's take a situation that we have read this same data again with only these three columns. I mean, if I just run this, you will see that we are getting only these three columns in my data set because I have written here use calls these three. So I'm not interested for the other columns presently for time being, assume. Okay, and the data frame name here is COVID underscore index. Okay, and what is written here? You see, I have written print COVID underscore index, that means the data frame name dot loc within bracket are given 1 colon 5 comma continent. What does it mean? Again, I told you that continent means this one. That means it will extract the first five data. I mean, if you forget about the head and if you run it again, you will see there are total 39,000 rows. You know that, right? More than 39,000. And among 39,000 rows, you want to extract the first five rows from 1 to 5 and only the continent column. But in case of iloc, what we have done, you see, we have not written the column name, rather we have written the column number. What I mean is that if the column name is given, whatever column name is given here, always remember the internally data frame assume the first column name as column 0, second column name as column number 1, third as column number 2, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that means this 0 will represent the first column, whereas if you want to use loc, in that case you have to specify the column name. That is the only difference. But if you see, if you run this, you will see you're getting. Okay, by the way, there is one more difference present. That is, instead of loc, if you write 1 to 5, it will give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the data. But if you go for iloc and check 1 to 5, in that case, it will follow the previous logic, that 0 to n minus 1, that logic. That's why you see in the second case, it has printed only for 4 rows because 1 to 5, that means 1, 2, 3, 4. But in case of loc, it has printed 5 rows. I mean, including the last one. But iloc does not take the last one, rather take up to last. I mean, does not consider the last value, last index. So that is the only difference. Now, you know whether you will go for loc, this type of technique, or you will use iloc, it totally depends upon what information you have in your hand. Because for example, you are working with some data frame and you specifically know the column name, in that case you can use this loc, there is no issue. But suppose you don't know the column name but you know the position of the column, say the position of the column is n, I mean say 3, in that case you can write 3 over here and you can extract that particular column, right? Now if you want all the rows of the column, in that case you can just go for something like that, just what you have seen in my previous here, something like this. All the, it is representing only columns. For example, here if you just write column, just only column, it means all. You see, in iloc you are getting all the indexes from 0 to 39,270, all the row of only continent column. If you change from 0 to 1 here and if you run this, what you see, you are getting Aruba. What is this? This is nothing but the location, because I have given here 1, it means it will take the second column. So this is the only difference of loc and iloc. Okay, so what particular you have to use, that depends upon what information you have in your hand. Now let's come to this point. What is this? This is nothing but it is also basically taking a set of data, I mean set of rows in this particular range. Now here, I know if you just take what exactly it is representing, you see it is representing 1,17,812 rows, which is extremely huge. How you got? I don't have this amount of data. I have only 39,000 row. The reason is that here the COVID, this particular data frame, I mean sorry, this particular data frame has been re-indexed with respect to range from 1 to this COVID index dot size. What this COVID index dot size? This represents, say for example, if I just print this one, okay, if I just print this one, you see what it will print? It will print 1,17,813. Okay, so since this particular index size is this, that's why in this range all the rows are coming. Okay, now anyway, so let's keep it as it is, and let's come to the next point, that is the last one presently, that is as you can see here, that again the difference between LOC and ILOC, it is nothing but it is representing, if you just run this, it will show the first five, and from 2 3 4 5, these one, based on, I have three different columns because I have not specified any column here, so that's why it is showing all the columns. And it is representing, yes, it is representing the first five rows over here, 1 to 5, and for this one it is representing 2 3 4 5, this one. So these are some full operation here, but now what we will do, we will try to write some code and try to see what are the different useful operation can be present in the data frame, and what we can, how we can manipulate or get much more information using various function call in the data frame.